Welcome to the Executive Coaching Podcast, where executive coach Alicia Cowan will discuss leadership topics and coaching solutions to tackle the most difficult problems that keep you from leading your team to success.
Hey there, senior leaders. To all my executives out there, welcome back. And if you're new to the show, welcome. So good to be talking to you today. It is a beautiful spring day in Tampa, Florida. That's where I am located at, and we're in the thick of spring. So we've done all the spring things. We had just had Easter last weekend and celebrated. My kids that are well into their teens and adulthood, a mix of them, really wanted an egg hunt still. So we did that. And we also did a really fun, just family dinner with the family. And it was really good times. And I can't believe we are heading into May next week. It is wild to think about that we are just a month away from school getting out and we're about to head into summer. Chris and I have been working on some exciting summer plans that I will tell you more about in the future as they come closer to actuality and reality. But yeah, we've got some really exciting, fun things here planned for the summer. So looking forward to that. But as your host today, we're going to get back on track in terms of the podcast. I want to talk to you about something that most senior executive leaders don't always admit out loud. And it's really what to do when others doubt you. Now, when you get doubted, it can happen in a lot of different subtle ways. It could be like side comments, or it could be a direct challenge. And that doubt, it can shake even the most accomplished executive. As an executive coach and have someone that's worked in HR and leadership and management for now 25 plus years, I've seen it a lot. And you'll have people, even at the top of their game, they get rattled, and not by the actual failure or challenge or problem or issue at hand, but by that whisper of doubt. And it can come from others, but eventually then it starts to spread and they start to believe it and they have it come from within. And so today, what I want to do is unpack this. I want to talk about how coaching can help you navigate these waters. And I want to give you some actual tips and tricks and tools to walk away with today. So we could talk a little bit of philosophy, but I know you like to have something you can kind of put into place right away. And if this does not apply to you, you might know somebody that it does. So also take that into consideration and feel free to share this with somebody you know and care about that might be getting doubted from their team. So let's talk about this. So who in your life could potentially doubt you as an executive? So the first group of people could be potential doubt from friends. Friends might say something like, "You've changed," or "Why are you working so much?" Or "It must be really nice to make that kind of money now." And what this really means is they might be uncomfortable with how your growth reflects their own path. It's like you're holding up a mirror for them. And I've seen this happen. I have a good friend that's wildly successful and it definitely feels like he has outgrown his friend group. And it just feels, even though he's known these people forever and they're really close to him, he's had great level of success. And while he does not himself feel different or, operate any differently, um, they perceive him some type of way. And so this is a couple of responses that are optional. And something could be really simple from the perspective, if you feel comfortable in your own skin, it's as simple as saying, yeah, I have changed. I've worked really hard to get where I am and I've worked really hard to grow. And it's still me though. I'm just evolving. Keep it simple. So it's okay to acknowledge it. It's all right to say, yeah, I've done a lot to get where I am and I'm still on a path. And if that makes some people and friends uncomfortable, sometimes you have to look at that and understand if that relationship is something you want to continue. So the second group is family members. Family members. Okay, so family members, well, how this might show up is they might say something like, "Oh, you don't need all that," or "Don't forget where you came from." Or I get that a lot of, yeah, don't work too hard, that quote. And what it really means, what could it potentially mean? Again, if you look at from their point, from a intention and point of empathy, it could be mean that their love might come with fear or uncertainty or feeling unfamiliar with your journey and where you're headed. It's quite common for generations to do different things and to evolve. And for them, the people that are watching you evolve can't really fathom it, right? Because even our generations have changed so much in terms of how we even all show up in the workforce and what we can do and how we work. And so again, giving them a little bit of empathy, it's understanding like feels very like uncharted territory for them. And so options. You could respond by saying something as simple as, I haven't forgotten where I come from. My background actually fuels me. Again, keep it simple. It doesn't mean you're not acknowledging that you have evolved, but letting them know where you stand. All right. The third group, let's get into the workplace now. You also could have coworkers doubt you. And this might show up in a way, it might sound like challenging your experience, your background. Do you really have the experience to do this? Or, something even more direct and challenging, like who put you in charge? And again, from looking from their point of view, what it could mean is showing that they're resistant to change, or they might have their own personal insecurity. I see this come up a lot in the workplace with politics. One way to respond is to say, I was chosen because of my perspective, and I would love to move forward together with you. Quite simply, it doesn't talk about anything in your background or anything in your experience. It just shows how you look at the world and how you view things. And you invite them to work with you to move forward together. All right. Next up, your boss. Your boss might doubt you. And what this might look like, this could be a little bit more subtle. It could be like, I'm not really sure you're ready for the next role or for this next challenge or for the bigger scope. It could be a little bit of a let's wait and see type of comment. And that let's wait and see on this. That absolutely, even though it's not like this as assertive as some of the other comments, there is a little bit of that doubt that could come through in some of these comments. What it could mean, it could be a power dynamic at play, or it might be a coaching moment where they're trying to make sure and see if you're ready. So, options of how you can respond. You could say, hey, can we talk about what readiness might look like? And what do you need to see? And how can I demonstrate that I am ready? So, a couple of things that we do when we coach together, I just named off 4 voices that we've labeled friends, family, coworkers, your boss, right? And just give you some sampling of examples. But one thing we like to do in coaching is to get really clear and name these voices. Because sometimes I think people say just generally like, oh, they all are doubting me or everyone's doubting me. And that usually is not true. So it's important when you're doing coaching to really get specific and name the humans. Who is actually speaking? What are you actually hearing? Again, factual statements, not generalities. And then we dig in and say, is this a projection from themselves? Is it insecurity? Or is there any truth in any of these comments that we need to explore? So it's really just picking it apart. And I want to share that coaching insight with you because you can do this work yourself. And so that's why again, I gave you some examples of things you could hear and who you could hear it from so that you can start to maybe have some of that resonate with what's happening in your own situation and you can think through those specific examples for yourself. Okay. All right. So now let's move into this. How could this look? So before you have an awareness and before you coach yourself or get coaching on this, what could happen is that if you hear these type of comments, what could happen is that doubt could start to creep into your head. You could hear these things and start to take them personally. And when you start to let them in and like creep in and you start taking it personally, you might actually start to believe it. Then in turn, it can affect you. And when you start to think it and you feel insecure, it then rattles your confidence and that insecurity comes out. The actions that take place are that you start to perform poorly or you freeze, you like, retreat or just lock up because you're not feeling as confident as you once were. Okay. So that is like what our before situation looks like. Now, after you have some growth areas and you have this realization, you can potentially again coach yourself or get coached. What this could look like after is that even if you hear these voices come at you with some doubt, you trust your own voice. You then feel confident even when things are uncertain or even when, there might be some doubt lingering out there in the world. We are right now, as I sit here in April 2025, in a very uncertain time. No one can predict the future and no one knows what's going to happen. And so you absolutely can still be confident even while we're in uncertain times. You also can empathize. I think it's really powerful to understand where the other person's coming from, and you can listen and learn from them and empathize without absorbing their thoughts. And then the action that results from that is you can move forward by leading with clarity and not this reactivity to the comments and the doubt. All right. Now we know the before and after. We know what this can look like. Here's some more tactical, practical tips. What you can do when you are facing doubt. So, step number one, what you want to do is take that first step that we talked about. You hear the comments and you pause and you reflect. So, rather than jumping into any sort of reaction, you want to ask yourself, why might this person be doubting me? Is this doubt about me for real? Like, where's the facts that are in this? And I think that's the first step to this is just pausing and reflecting, asking yourself some powerful questions to face this doubt that's coming at you. The second thing that I advise you to do is to separate the facts from the feelings. So when you're looking at the statement that was made, you start to pause and reflect. You start to then second ask yourself, is this feedback or is it fear? And if there is any truth in it, what is the truth that is here for me? I love this question, and I think it can disarm us so well when we have someone make a statement and it triggers us. I think a really powerful thing to do is to look at it and say, how can I see some truth in this? It is so difficult to do, but I think it's a really great step is just be like, okay, why am I being triggered by this doubt? And maybe is there something that I actually believe in here? And maybe I want to look at that and see, maybe it's my own fear that's actually being triggered here. Okay. So separate the facts from the feeling. And if there is some facts in there, take a look at what you want to do with those facts. If it's just a feeling and you want to move on from it, you get to decide how you want to proceed. Okay. So, number three, after you've paused or reflect, separate the fact from feeling, you then decide what you want to believe. Not everything and not everybody's doubt deserves your energy. You get to choose what you want to absorb and what you want to leave behind. So after you've done these steps, you really get to decide, okay, what do I want to do from here? And one way that I like to reframe this during coaching is letting people work through these steps, but also talking with people and letting them know that just because somebody has doubt in them, it does not make it your truth. And one thing you can say, if you know who you are and you know what you bring to the table, you can just reassure yourself of that their doubt is not my truth. I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table. Again, it's very much easier said than done. And I know this stuff is um, simple in verbiage and simple in steps, but tricky in practice. Because as senior leaders, some of the things that we're doing and the goals we're going after and how we're leading, it's not insignificant. We're leading lots of people, we're leading lots of work and projects, and it's we're making some really big decisions. And so it's not always easy. And sometimes doubt can creep up. And we can face it in lots of other people. We can face it in ourselves. But here's what I want to close with. You don't have to carry others' doubt. You don't have to carry that load. You get to lead your own narrative and your own path. And as a leader, you have lots of noise coming at you all of the time. And so if you want help cutting through some of that noise, coaching can give you some clarity and some confidence and a strategy so you can actually stay true to your leadership and keep that razor sharp focus on the work and the actual job that you need to do, rather than letting all this doubt seep in and then start to show up in your actions. So, if that is you and you want some support with that, I would love to connect with you because your voice deserves to be louder than their doubt of you. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. I would love to connect with you. I would love to direct you to my website. It's EliciaCowanCoaching.com. It's ElisiaKeown coaching.com. And I most recently updated a great tool for you on my website. There is an option where you can go to my website. And I know you, as a senior leader and an executive, you are super busy. So, what I did is I curated my most popular podcasts in a list that you can get. If you go to my website, put your email in, I will deliver it to your inbox and you can click and listen on the most popular podcasts that will get you up and running right away. So, go to my website, check it out. Would love to hear from you. And thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Executive Coaching Podcast with Alicia Cowan. If you're ready to have an executive coach who's ready to help you lead your team to success, then book an introductory call at aliciacowancoaching.com/call.